It's just Bruce, he don't bite. Hello.
Hey folks, welcome back to my channel once again. We're going to talk about some resin stuff tonight. I've been working all night, very tired, but I started thinking about this. A while back I did a comparison of 3D printed resin or filament and my resin that I do with silicone molds and everything like that. I want to briefly touch on that, but I more want to go to the clear resin and see the differences, why I still prefer actually making the product with the resin in a mold than doing the 3D printing. A lot of people are going to disagree with me, and that's okay. You can disagree. But I'm going to explain why I prefer regular clear resin to 3D printed resin, especially now. So let's get into it. Oh, also tonight, I'm testing on a new camera, so you're just going to see it in the corner. Just kind of ignore it. I'm just going to leave it in there. I want to make sure this camera works because I have other plans for it. So if you can tolerate that, let's get into it right now. So like I was saying about the extra camera I'm using, I just ignore it. It's this guy right here. Just ignore him. He's nobody. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. What I want to talk about is it's hard to do this with multiple cameras. I'm just saying. This is a piece that is one came from a 3D printer. One came from myself. Made a hollow mold out of it. And I don't know if you could tell the difference by looking at it. I'm going to explain it to you. But real quick in your head, make a decision right now which one you think came from a 3D printer and which one you think I made. So I'll give you a second. All right, second's up. There's two of them, obviously. This one came from the 3D printer. Now looking at them, they don't really look that different. This one's been painted, obviously, so if you can see on camera, it's a little more brighter. Which is nice. But a friend of mine made me this on his 3D printer. It is a solid filament resin, whatever the material is they're using, it's solid. It weighs quite a bit more than this one does. I took this, and with his permission, of course, I put it into a mold, and I made what's called a hollow mold, hollow casting, excuse me. I made a mold, and I made a hollow casting out of it. And that's where this guy came from. And this is actually available on my eBay store. Like I said, I got permission from the guy. The problem is the price. To make this on this one here, to make it on a 3D printer, it costs exponentially a lot more than this. Not to mention it takes more time. I can make this one with a regular silicone mold cast that I make here in my shop. Silicone mold cast for this costs about $10. The amount of resin I'm using in it, probably less than $1. And it's hollow, it's much lighter, it's still just as durable. I could chuck it against the wall if I wanted to. Well, I don't want to, but maybe it would break. I don't know. We'll find. That's another video. This guy here is solid. It's solid filament from a 3D printer that he paid $1,800 for the printer. And he told me roughly this is probably about $6 or $7 worth of filament to make this. Yeah, that's what I have a problem with. Looking at them side by side, they're both decent. I mean, this is a copy of this, but it's just easier for me and other craftsmen to make stuff out of resin. That's my first point. And this is white resin that I use. You can see I painted mine. This one actually was printed in this color. And you can see this the telltale signs of the lines and stuff like that on the top of its head there. I think it's showing up. And this one copied it, so it's going to have the lines on there. I could have sanded those down better. This just is why I think it's better to handcraft it with resin and silicone molds than to get a pattern off the internet, buy $1,800 worth of 3D printers. Now, I realize that 3D printers don't all cost $1,800. I've seen a cheaper one. He actually has two of them. He got the real cheap one to begin with, and those prints just came out terrible. And that's what I talked about in the last video I made about this. They came out all jaggedy, and especially the smaller things. They just didn't come out right. They were there, but it's just too many scraggles on it, and splinters and burrs, whatever you want to call it. It just didn't do a quality work, whereas resin will give you a nice smooth one. Now, that's all I'm going to say about the colored resins, because I mainly want to talk about the clear resin, and I'm going to do that right now. Okay, now I want to talk about the clear 3D printing versus the clear resin versus the original part. And you see in front of me here I have three pieces. Number one, number two, number three. Number one is a canopy, an original canopy off a 1977 Kenner Star Wars X-Wing fighter. And this is the original. It's off my own. Number two is a 3D printed one. And number three is one that I made with clear resin and a silicone mold. Now, at first you look at it, the number one, of course, it's going to have a little fading because it was from 1977, so that's where the color, and you can see the color coming through it, which they duplicated in number two here, the 3D printed one. Number three is mine. It's crystal clear. It's what it actually came as when it was brand new. I get that. Now, before anybody jumps down my throat about repro, this is a replacement, and I'll show you the differences and why I do what I do. This is a replacement piece, and if you can see, it is not like the original. I have these edges are tapered, this is tapered, this is tapered. It is just not the same, but it fits and it looks nice for people that want to put it on display that can't find the original piece, which are pretty pricey and kind of hard to find sometimes. With that said, because I don't want to hear you blow me up in the comments. With that said, I want to show you the differences between well, I don't really have to use the original because we're not trying to make the original. But if you want to compare the original to number two, the 3D printed one, here's the sides. It's very close. It's very close. Still can't be mistaken for the original, and I'm okay with that. And you're not seeing it on the camera, so I'm going to have to put something to show you some clarity. Let's flip this over. And here's 1, 2, and 3 again. As you can see, number one is still clear. That is the original. Number two, if you can see, it's blurring the letters. It's blurring the letters where number one doesn't. It's blurring the letters, so it's not truly clear. And if you can even see closer, I'd like to know how I can figure out how to show you this, because I can see it's not showing up on camera. Let's try a black background. Okay, that's showing up. Do you see the lines going up and down it? I mean, that's cool to be a replacement and, not try to be real, the original one, which I'm cool with that. But I'm sorry, it looks like hell. It looks like hell on the unit. It just doesn't look right when you put it on the X-Wing. Now, here's mine, the crystal clear one. You see I did taper the edges here, tapered the edges here. It is crystal clear. It does not distort the letters at all, which is similar to the original. Here's the original. You can see it's not distorting the letters at all, whereas the 3D printed one distorts the letters, and it just doesn't look good. And this was from a high quality 3D printer. It just, my opinion is clear filament doesn't work as well as clear resin does. As you can see, here's the clear resin, crystal clear. It's not distorting the letters or the picture in any way. And Junkman's a buddy of mine, so if he can't take a joke, then, well, he can take a joke, so I'm not worried about it. But that's my opinion on the difference between clear resin, 3D printing with a clear filament, and, well, you can't really compare the original. The original's the original. So we're down to these two. You can find this, if you need an X-Wing canopy, you can find this on my eBay store, Jenner Custom Toys. I gotta plug myself once in a while. It's how I make my money. Well, some of my money, but yeah, I'd appreciate it. So if you need one of these, look me up. The 3D printed ones, I mean, even if I wasn't doing this, they're just not good enough. I usually have action figures all over the place. I don't have any sitting here. Well, I have this sitting here. This is something I just recently acquired. It's Boba Fett in a mail-away bag, but I'll put that on top of it. You see how distorted it is. You can't really see the figure under. And yeah, we're looking through old plastic too, but you can't really see you just can't see. And here's the original. Not that the Boba Fett would ever fly an X-Wing, but it's the only one I had sitting here. Give me a break, guys. It's late. Okay, see how clear that is? And then, of course, there's mine, which is just as clear as the original. But it takes And to make this, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, so I'm just going to repeat myself. The mold to make this one out of actual resin that I use, the mold cost about $10, and it's about 50 cents worth of resin to pour into that. And I could probably make about 50 or 60 of these before the mold finally gives out. So it's also just a cheaper alternative. If you're doing this yourself, my way is just cheaper. And you know, $1,800 an $1,800 3D printer to make something like this. I don't know. You guys can judge for yourself, decide for yourself. Leave comments. You know, I'm willing to discuss things, but that's just my opinion. It's why I'm not sold on 3D printers. I used a few pieces in the past, and they work, but I also feel that doing it this way, well, it's definitely cheaper. I mean, if you've seen any of my videos, I'm all about being frugal and cheap and getting the best value out of my dollar. But not only that, I just think it looks better. That's my opinion. So yeah, that was just on my mind tonight, and I thought I'd share it with you guys and see what you think. Yeah, do you like 3D printing better than the resin casting that I do? And that's fine. You know, I don't know a lot about 3D printing because I never bothered to do it. I'm just not going to spend that much money on a unit to print stuff that I know I can make with resin. Like I said, all the things I make are different than the original, but they fit, they work, they're a nice replacement, kind of, you know, it's a custom. But the 3D print, I don't know, it just takes all the art out of it, takes all the fun out of it. You know, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I just wanted to share with you guys. I really just want to know your opinion on it. Do you have a 3D printer? Let me know. I really would like to know. All right, guys, that's it for now. Bye.
It's just Bruce. He don't bite. Hello.